Namaste, welcome to the lecture series on the subject Applied Thermodynamics. This is module 5, in that part 2, steam nozzles. So this is lecture number 8. Myself Dr. N. Satish Kumar, Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering, Kendra Engineering College, Bantwal. So in this lecture, initially we will study about the supersaturated flow through the nozzle. So then we will take up few numericals. So what is supersaturated flow? So when dry saturated steam is expanded adiabatically or isentropically, it becomes wet and is shown by vertical line on Mollier diagram or HS diagram. So you know that the process of expansion is always isentropic. Suppose if it is ideal expansion or for ideal nozzle. Now, so this isentropic process is shown by the vertical line, you can see. Now suppose if the steam is dry saturated in the beginning, so if this is a point here, so after expansion you can see the steam will be in the wet region. That means the expansion is accompanied by the condensation process. The moment the temperature drops below the dry saturation point, then the condensation has to begin. If the steam is initially superheated, then the condensation will begin the moment when it reaches the dry saturation point. For example, here is a point 1 is in the superheated region, the point 2 is a position when it reaches the dry saturation point. So at this point, so the condensation has to begin and it has to carry through the further expansion, maybe 2 to 3 or 2 to 4. So 1 is the initial state of steam which is superheated, 2 is the dry saturation point, 3 and 4 are the possible end points after the expansion process. That means during this expansion in the nozzle, so it is followed by the condensation process during this expansion process. Now this condensation has to begin when the steam has proceeded through some distance through the nozzle, because from the superheated point it has to reach the dry saturation point. As you know, during this expansion process in the nozzle, the pressure and temperature reduces. So the pressure has to reduce, temperature has reduced to the saturation point. So by this time the steam has proceeded through some distance. It will travel some distance through the nozzle and in a very short interval of time. But from practical point of view, the steam has great velocity. You see, the steam is not moving slowly, so it is picking up velocity as it moves along the nozzle. The velocity may be sometimes sonic and sometimes it may be even supersonic also. So the phenomena of condensation does not take place at the expected rate because of this high velocity. So the condensation doesn't proceed at the expected rate. So what is the effect of this? So as a result of this, equilibrium between liquid and vapor phase is delayed. That means the steam continues to expand in the dry state. So the steam in such a set of conditions is said to be supersaturated or metastable state, or it is also called supercooled steam. Why it is called a supercooled steam? Because its temperature at any pressure is less than the saturation temperature corresponding to the pressure. So because of this expansion continued in the dry condition, so its temperature falls less than or below than that of the saturation temperature. So that is why it is called as the supercooled steam or supersaturated or metastable state. The flow of supersaturated steam through the nozzle is called supersaturated flow or metastable flow. So what are the effects of this supersaturation? So let us study the effects. Okay, the following effects in nozzle in which supersaturation occurs are important from the subject point of view. So let us discuss these points. Since the condensation does not take place during supersaturated expansion, so the temperature at which the supersaturation occurs will be less than the saturation temperature corresponding to the pressure. So condensation does not take place during supersaturated expansion, so there is no condensation actually. Steam is continue to expand. So what happens is the temperature at which this supersaturation occurs will be less than, because the temperature falls, though it is trying to continue to expand without condensation. Therefore, the density of supersaturated steam will be more than for the equilibrium conditions, which results in increase in mass of steam discharge because of increase in density. The supersaturation increases the entropy as well as this specific volume of steam. The supersaturation reduces the heat drop below that for thermal equilibrium as the exit velocity of the steam is reduced. So the supersaturation results in drop in heat, okay, for the given pressure limits, that is fixed pressure limits of inlet and the exit. So it reduces the heat drop. So the moment effective heat drop reduces, automatically the exit velocity of the steam is reduced, because you studied that exit velocity is nothing but a function of heat drop, HD, H1 minus H2. The moment H1 minus H2 reduces, the exit velocity also reduces. One more effect is the supersaturation increases the dryness fraction of the steam. So that is another effect of this supersaturation. So now let us discuss or solve few numericals. So I will solve two numericals in this lecture and continue to solve 3 more numericals in the lecture number 9. So let us take this first numerical. Steam is expanded in a set of nozzles from 10 bar, 200 degrees C to 5 bar. Neglecting the initial velocity, find the minimum area of the nozzle required to allow a flow of 3 kg per second under the given conditions. Assume that expansion of steam to be isentropic. So it's a basic problem in a ideal nozzle. So the entry condition for the steam is given, that is 10 bar and 200 degree Celsius. So that you should take it as P1 is equal to 10 bar and T1 is equal to 200 degree Celsius. Okay, so you can express it in kilopascal also, but as far as the nozzle problem is concerned, so expressing in kilopascal is doesn't or not required. Okay, it doesn't help in any manner. Okay, so everywhere you can substitute in bar itself. And the exit pressure is 5 bar, so that is P2 is equal to 5 bar or 5 into 100 kilopascal. And you are supposed to find out the minimum area of the nozzle neglecting the initial velocity. So you have to find out this minimum area neglecting the initial velocity to allow a mass flow rate of 3 kg per second. And also you have to, as I told earlier, so you have to consider it as ideal nozzle, or given problem is an ideal nozzle, so the process will be isentropic. Now let us find out the critical pressure ratio for the maximum discharge. So this pressure ratio is between throat and the inlet. So P2 by P1 is equal to 2 by n plus 1 to the power n by n minus 1. So here, though the value of n is not given, so assuming ideal condition, you can take it as 1.4. So by this you will get the ratio of P2 by P1 as 0.528. Since P2 is given as 10 bar, right? This value, sorry, P1 is given as 10 bar. So P2 is equal to 0.528 into 10, so is equal to 5.28 bar. Okay. Now go through the molar chart to find out the enthalpy at various points. Now let me draw the enthalpy chart for you, which is nothing but molar chart, enthalpy, entropy diagram, HS diagram, or the molar chart. Now suppose if I draw this as the saturation line, okay, so this is the saturation line. I'll write just SAT for your understanding. So initial condition is 10 bar and 200 degree Celsius, right? So let me use a different color. So you have to locate 10 bar line. Now this is the pressure 10 bar line. Okay, first locate this line, and also there is a superheated temperature lines are there. It's parallel lines like this. So in that you have to identify 200 degree Celsius line. So where this 10 bar and 200 degree Celsius line is there, So intersection point is 1. So corresponding enthalpy is H1. So this is the point 1. So it is very easy to locate if you are using the molar chart. Now the expansion to continue till 5 bar, so it is isentropic expansion. So in HS diagram, isentropic line is vertical line. So till you meet 5 bar line, so you have to extend vertically, or you have to come down from point 1 vertically downwards till it meets 5 bar line. So that is a point 2. So corresponding enthalpy you have to note down as H2. So separately you can note down H1 and H2, and you can find out H1 minus H2, and I found out the difference H2 minus correct, H1 minus H2 as 120 kilojoules per kg. So H1, because initial enthalpy is more, final enthalpy is less, so H1 minus H2, which is nothing but HD, is 120 kilojoules per kg. And also try to find out the specific volume at point 2. If you want, you can note down even the dryness fraction also. So there will be dryness fraction line also here. Sorry, it should pass through this point. Okay, so the line which passes are very close to this point 2, you should find out what is the dryness fraction. But in this problem it's not required, so just find out what is the specific volume. So now you know the exit velocity or the discharge velocity of the steam at throat or at any section is given by 44.72 root of HD, provided the initial velocity V1 is neglected. If V1 is neglected or assumed to be 0, so then this is the formula. So your HD is 120, so you'll get the exit velocity as 489.88 meter per second. Now you know the continuity equation. So mass flow through the nozzle at any cross section is given by M is equal to A2, that is area of the cross section at the throat, into capital V2, velocity at the throat, divided by specific volume at the throat, the specific volume of the steam at the throat. So since here mass flow rate is given, velocity just now we found out, V2 you took it from the molar chart, so only unknown is the area of the nozzle. Okay, so A2 after substitution, M as 3, V2 as 0.345, velocity as 489.88, you will find it out as 0.002112 meter square or 21.12 centimeter square. So this is the area of the minimum area which is required for a mass flow rate of 3 kg per second, considering the maximum discharge conditions. Now let us solve this problem. An adiabatic steam nozzle is to be designed for a discharge rate of 10 kg per second of steam from 10 bar and 400 degrees C to a back pressure of 1 bar. The nozzle efficiency is 0.92 and the frictional loss is assumed to take place in the diverging portion of the nozzle only. Calculate number 1, velocity of steam at throat and exit of the nozzle. Number 2, throat and exit area. Assume index of expansion is equal to 1.3. So very interesting problem. An adiabatic steam nozzle is to be designed for a discharge rate of 10 kg per second. So mass flow rate of steam is given as 10 kg per second, and initial condition of steam at the entry of the nozzle is 10 bar and 400 degrees Celsius. So always when the initial condition, that pressure and temperature is given, so better you always go through the steam table first. So open the table A1. If you find out at 10 bar pressure, the saturation temperature is 179.88 and the given temperature is 400 degrees Celsius. So it is superheated steam. Even the previous problem, it was given 10 bar and 200 degrees Celsius. So there also it is superheated steam table. So generally the steam entering into the nozzle, because always superheated steam enters the turbine. Okay, so nozzle is fitted in the entry of the turbine. Okay, so it will be always superheated, but we better check, it may be sometimes dry saturated also. So you can check it out using pressure and temperature. Okay, we'll continue. The back pressure, that is the pressure at the end of the expansion or the exit, is 1 bar. The nozzle efficiency is 0.92. That means, so there is a deviation from the isentropic expansion. So the actual expansion is different, isentropic expansion is different, or the actual expansion is not isentropic, or it is not reversible adiabatic. So it is irreversible process. and the frictional loss is assumed to take place only in the diverging portion. So that is very, very important here. So you have the two sections, converging section and the diverging section, which meet at throat. So here the loss is taking place only in the diverging portion. So let me explain that through a HS diagram. Okay, so you are supposed to find out the velocity of steam at throat and exit of the nozzle, throat and exit area, and you are supposed to assume the index of expansion as 1.3. Nice. Okay, so note down the given data. P1 is equal to 10 bar, P3 is equal to 1 bar or 1 into 100 kilopascal, T1 is 400 degree Celsius. So as you know, the critical pressure ratio at throat P2 by P1 is equal to 2 by n plus 1 to the power n by n minus 1. So here given n is equal to 1.3, so you will get the critical pressure ratio as 0.546. Since P1 is given as 10 bar, so P2, that is the pressure at throat, will be 5.46 bar. Now let me explain the problem through the molar chart. So here the initial condition is 10 bar and 400 degrees Celsius. You can see, so it's shown horizontally here, but it is nothing but the temperature line, superheat temperature line, 400 degrees Celsius. Locate that line and also locate the 10 bar line. P1 is equal to 10 bar. So intersecting point is nothing but the initial state of steam entering the nozzle, that is the state 1. Now already you found out the state 2, that is pressure at throat P2, which is 5.46 bar if I am correct. Okay, so that also you have to locate. So this you have to come vertically downwards till you intersect that pressure line, P2 pressure line, and further expansion will take place till the final pressure, which is 1 bar. Now 2 to 3 dash is represents isentropic expansion in the diverging section. Now I have to come to this. See, 1 to 2, that is entry to throat, is the converging section, whereas 2 to 3 dash is a diverging section of the nozzle. So here he says nozzle efficiency is 0.92 and whatever the losses are taking place in the diverging portion. That means 1 to 2 is isentropic expansion. It's a very, very important problem. 1 to 2 is isentropic expansion vertical line, but actual expansion or the loss is going to take place in the diverging portion. Therefore the actual expansion is taking place along the line or the curve 2 to 3 rather than 2 to 3 dash. So 2 to 3 is the 3 dash is the isentropic expansion in the diverging section, but it is told that losses are there in the diverging section. So actual expansion is not isentropic, or it is not 2 to 3 dash, instead it is 2 to 3. So the ratio of this enthalpy difference H2 minus H3 divided by H2 minus H3 dash is nothing but the nozzle efficiency, which is nothing but 0.92 or 92%. This is the actual enthalpy drop divided by isenthalpic enthalpy drop. Okay. So let us note down now, corresponding to this point you note down H1 here, H2 here, and H3 dash also you can note down, but not H3, because H3 you have to find out using nozzle efficiency formula. Okay, because we don't know where this 0.3 lies. Okay, now H1 is 3260 from the molar chart, H2 is 3080, specific volume at 0.2, so that also you can note down 0.49 meter cube per kg. H3 dash is 2710 kilojoules per kg. Please note this is H3 dash, isentropic enthalpy at the end of isentropic expansion, not the 0.3 actual expansion. Okay, now let us calculate the efficiency of the nozzle. So eta nozzle is equal to H2 minus H3 divided by H2 minus H3 dash. So as I told you in the previous slide, so the process 1 to 2 is isentropic, so there is no loss, but process 2 to 3, so there are losses. So 2 to 3 dash is isentropic and 2 to 3 is actual expansion. So it is H2 minus H3 divided by H2 minus H3 dash. So nozzle efficiency is given as 0.92. H2 already you know the value 3080. So H3 you have to calculate. Okay. So H3 dash also you noted. So H3 you will get it as 2739.6 kilojoules per kg. Also note down the value of V3 from the molar chart. at point 3. So to locate point 3, so what you have to do is you have to note 2739.6, that is nearly 2740. So 2740 here on the enthalpy line and go horizontally till it intersects pressure 1 bar line. So 1 bar and 2740 line, so that is the point 3. So at that point you find out what is the specific volume, so that you will get as 1.8 meter cube per kg. Now let us calculate the velocity of steam at throat. So it is V2 is equal to 44.72 into root of H1 minus H2. So H1 is 3260, H2 is 3080. So you will get it as 600 meter per second. Similarly, the velocity of steam at exit V3 is equal to 44.72 into root of H1 minus H3. See, both this is H1 as well as this is H1. So whatever the enthalpy drop, so that is you have to consider from the inlet to the throat here in this case and inlet to exit in this case. So H1 is 3260 and H3 is 2739.6. So after substitution and simplification, you will get velocity of steam at exit as 1020 meter per second. So the mass flow rate of steam through the nozzle, as you know, it is m dot is equal to A2 V2 by small v2, which is also equal to A3 V3 by small v3. So now here our intention is to calculate area at throat as well as area at the exit. So area at throat A2 is equal to m dot into small v2 divided by capital V2. So 10 into, so mass flow rate is given 10 kg per second. So small v2 into capital V divided by capital V2. So you'll get it as 8.17 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter square or 81.7 centimeter square. Similarly, if you calculate the area at the exit, it is m dot into small v3 divided by capital V3. So 10 into 1.8 divided by 1020. So you'll get it as 0.0176 meter square or 176 centimeter square. Okay. So with this I conclude this lecture and we'll continue to solve few more numericals in the next lecture. Thank you.